A quiet black girl walks into her new high school on day one, and a billionaire's spoiled, hot-headed son decides she's his next target. He trips her in the hallway, mocks her in the cafeteria, blocks her locker, and finally drags her out behind the school where he blasts her with a fire hose, soaking her from head to toe just to humiliate her in front of everyone. But the moment the school security sees this on camera, everything changes. Police rush in, arrest the rich kid on the spot. And when this case reaches Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom, what the judge does next leaves everyone stunned and silent. You want to believe the twist that unfolds in court. Before the story continues, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and comment where you were watching from. The morning sun over Brookwood High washed the front courtyard in a soft, golden glow as students poured in for the first bell. Backpacks slapped against denim jackets, sneakers screeched against concrete. Laughter echoed across the steps. It was loud, chaotic, full of teenage confidence, except for one girl quietly stepping through the doors for the very first time. Alicia Grant, 16, walked with calm, steady steps. Her braided hair tied neatly behind her shoulders, her eyes observant but gentle. She wasn't shy, just composed, the kind of person who carried silence like a shield. She took in the school layout, the halls packed with posters, the clatter of lockers, the smells from the breakfast line. She had moved here from Atlanta only a week ago, but nothing in her demeanor showed nervousness. She simply wanted a fresh start. But Brookwood High had its own ecosystem, its own unspoken rules, and its own king. Tyler Maxwell. Everyone knew him before they even met him. Son of the powerful real estate tycoon Richard Maxwell, quarterback of the football team, loud, privileged, always surrounded by followers who laughed too quickly and nodded too eagerly. Tyler wasn't just popular. He was feared because he knew exactly how to ruin someone's day without ever getting caught. The moment Alicia walked into her homeroom, Tyler leaned back in his chair, eyes locked on her like he had discovered a new target. "New girl," he muttered loudly enough for the entire front row to hear. "Looks lost already." Alicia didn't react. She simply took a seat near the window, opened her notebook, and focused on the board. Her silence bothered him. He was used to people shrinking, apologizing, laughing nervously anything that showed he mattered. But this girl didn't even look his way. By third period, Tyler escalated. In the hallway, he accidentally bumped into her hard enough to spill the books from her hands. His friend snickered. "Oh no, didn't I see you there?" he said with his fake apologetic smile. "Maybe watch where you were walking next time." Alicia crouched, picked up her books calmly, not a word, not a glare. She walked away with the same steady pace. By lunchtime, Tyler was irritated enough to make it his personal mission. Inside the cafeteria, bright lights, trays clattering, the constant hum of voices. Tyler kicked her chair just as she was about to sit. Alicia steadied herself and sat anyway, refusing to give him the satisfaction of a reaction. "Is she mute?" Tyler asked loudly to his friends, earning laughter from the nearby tables. Still, Alicia stayed composed. She ate slowly, eyes lifted just once to meet his. Her look wasn't angry, wasn't he scared. It was clear, unbroken, and strangely calm, as if she saw right through him. And that bothered Tyler more than any insult could have. By the final bell, whispers were already spreading. The new girl didn't flinch. She didn't even blink at Tyler. She's either brave or stupid. Tyler heard every whisper, and each one hit him like a bruise to his ego. So he planned something big, something public, something humiliating. After school, the back courtyard was quiet, except for a group of students lingering near the fence. Tyler had bragged all day that he had a surprise for the new girl. And like always, a crowd gathered without knowing what they were about to witness. Alicia pushed open the door leading outside, walking slowly toward the open space. The late afternoon sun hit her face as she stepped onto the cracked concrete. Tyler stood waiting hands on a bright red fire hose connected to the maintenance outlet. His friends smirked behind him. The moment Alicia reached the center of the yard, Tyler squeezed the nozzle. A violent burst of water exploded forward, powerful enough to knock a grown man flat on his back. Students gasped. A few cheered. The water hit Alicia square in the chest. Her braids whipped back from the force, her clothes instantly soaked, the spray echoing against the brick walls. Everyone expected her to fall. But she didn't. Alicia dug her heels in, shoulders steady, arms locked at her sides. Water hammered against her body, but her eyes, those calm, steady eyes, never wavered. She just stood there, unshaken. Silence spread. Even Tyler's grin faltered. And just when he tried to crank the pressure higher, Alicia shifted. A small, controlled step sideways. A twist of her wrist. A clean, precise movement. Before anyone could process what happened, she grabbed the hose near the nozzle and angled it upward. The water stream flipped. The blast slammed straight into Tyler's chest. He flew backward with a yelp, landing in a muddy puddle as the crowd erupted, not in cheering, not in laughter, but in stunned disbelief. Alicia released the hose. It clattered against the concrete. Tyler scrambled up, humiliated, drenched, face flushed red with rage. "You!" he growled, charging toward her with clenched fists. Alicia moved again. No panic, no aggression, just control. A smooth sidestep, a clean block. Her hand pressed lightly against his shoulder, redirecting him off balance. Tyler stumbled to the ground again. Seconds later, the heavy boots of school security came running from the corner. One guard reached for his radio. "We got a situation, student assault, send police." Alicia stood still, breathing steady, her soaked clothes dripping onto the pavement. Tyler, furious and humiliated, kept shouting, "She attacked me! She attacked she." But the security cameras above the courtyard blinked red. They had captured everything. And within minutes, police cars rolled into the campus. Tyler Maxwell, the untouchable prince of Brookwood High, was handcuffed and led toward the cruiser. Alicia watched quietly, her face unreadable. As the car door slammed shut, two detectives exchanged looks. "This 1S going straight to court," one said. "And the name on the case file? Judge Frank Caprio." The real story was just beginning. The police cruiser pulled away from Brookwood High with its lights flashing against the dimming evening sky. Students crowded the sidewalk, whispering, filming, jaws hanging open in disbelief. Tyler Maxwell Brookwood's golden boy, the kid no one thought would ever face consequences, had been taken away in cuffs. But Alicia Grant didn't stay to watch. She slipped quietly through the back door of the school, her soaked clothes clinging to her skin, footsteps echoing softly down the empty hallway. She wasn't triumphant. She wasn't shaken. She was simply steady, as if everything that had happened was just another chapter she already knew how to turn. Outside, Tyler's friends huddled in shock. "Bro, he is gonna get out in an hour. His dad is rich. He'll bury this. He'll make her pay for this. You'll see." But even they didn't sound convinced. The image of Tyler lying in the mud, defeated by the girl he tried to humiliate in front of the entire school. None of them could unsee that. Inside the cruiser, Tyler sat rigid, jaw clenched, eyes burning with resentment. "This is ridiculous," he barked at the officers. "My dad will sue all of you. You know who I am? This is harassment. She assaulted me." Officer Daniels shook his head without looking back. "Kid, the entire incident is on school security footage. You're lucky we were charging you with assault and not attempted battery." Tyler slammed his fist against the window. "She flipped the hose at me. And only after you attacked her with it," Officer Daniels replied. For once, Tyler had no comeback. At the station, paperwork flew, phones rang, and within an hour, Richard Maxwell's slick suit, silver tie, a powerful glare that could intimidate CEOs, stormed through the precinct. His presence demanded attention. "My son needs to be released," he barked. "Immediately. This is a disgrace. I'll be speaking with the mayor. And your chief, and everyone else who will make sure you never work in this city again." But the officers weren't intimidated, because the security footage had already been sent directly to the district attorney's office, and the DA had sent it to a judge. Judge Frank Caprio. Richard Maxwell tried to keep his composure, but the moment he heard the name, a flicker of worry crossed his face. Caprio wasn't like other judges. He didn't bend for power, money, or family names. He listened. He looked deeper, and he always found the truth, even when people tried to hide it. Tyler was booked, processed, and ordered to appear in court the next morning. His father's connections, for once, couldn't erase the evidence. That same night, Alicia returned home to her grandmother's small rental house. Her grandma, Beverly Grant, sat on the couch knitting, watching the door with warm, worried eyes. "You were late, baby," Beverly said softly. "Your first day was all right." Alicia hesitated for the first time all day. "It was eventful," she replied quietly. Beverly put her knitting down. "You're soaked. Something happened?" Alicia nodded, but gently. "Someone tried to embarrass me. I didn't let him." "Oh, Lord," Beverly murmured. But she didn't panic. She had raised Alicia since she was little, after Alicia lost her mother in a car crash. She knew the girl was calm, disciplined, trained even not in violence, but in control. Alicia's mother had enrolled her in self-defense programs, meditation sessions, and martial arts classes, teaching her how to stay balanced in chaos. Beverly walked closer, placed a warm hand on Alicia's cheek. "I trust you did the right thing." The next morning, Brookwood High buzzed like bees in a shaken hive. Every student had seen the video multiple angles, zoomed clips, dramatic edits. Tyler spraying Alicia, Tyler getting blasted, Tyler slipping in the mud, Tyler screaming at security, and Alicia standing still like a statue under the water. People talked in hushed tones when she walked in. That girl is something else. She didn't even hit him, just defended herself. Tyler deserved this for a long time. Alicia ignored the stares and went to class. Her quietness somehow made everyone watch her more. Meanwhile, downtown Providence was preparing for the court hearing. Judge Frank Caprio entered his courtroom with the usual gentle smile, greeting the officers and staff like family. But once he settled onto the bench, he noticed an unusual tension in the room. "Big case this morning?" he asked as he adjusted his glasses. His clerk nodded. "Juvenile assault on school property, multiple witnesses, high-profile parent." Caprio sighed. High profile usually means high drama, and he wasn't wrong. The courtroom benches filled fast. Reporters gathered. Officers stood near the walls. Richard Maxwell sat beside his son, radiating arrogance and impatience. Tyler slouched in his seat, eyes rolling, clearly believing this was just a temporary inconvenience. But then the door opened. Alicia walked in with her grandmother beside her, simple clothes, steady posture, calm eyes. The entire courtroom turned their attention. Even Judge Caprio leaned forward, studying her. There was something different about this girl, something steady, unmoved, almost quiet, but strong. The bailiff called out, "Case of State versus Tyler Maxwell." And the second Judge Caprio began reading the file, his eyebrows lifted slightly. He looked up at Tyler, then at Alicia, then at the officers. "All right," Caprio said softly, tapping his pen. "Something tells me there is a lot more to this story than what's written on these pages." Tyler smirked, whispering to his father, "He'll just give me a warning." But Caprio wasn't looking at Tyler anymore. His eyes were fixed on Alicia because in her expression, he saw something unusual. No anger, no fear, just truth waiting to be heard. And before the hearing even began, Judge Caprio sensed the case was about to take a turn no one in that courtroom was prepared for. Not even Alicia herself. The tension inside Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom thickened as the morning unfolded. The wooden benches were packed with reporters, anxious students, a few teachers from Brookwood High, and several police officers who had responded to the incident. Cameras weren't allowed inside, but that didn't stop journalists from scribbling notes with rapid strokes. Judge Caprio adjusted his glasses again and turned slightly toward Alicia. Her posture remained straight, hands folded neatly in her lap. Beverly, her grandmother, sat beside her with quiet strength, but worry flickered behind her eyes, the kind only a guardian knows. Caprio tapped his pen lightly. "Let us start with the school footage." A prosecutor stepped forward. "Your Honor, Exhibit A." The lights dimmed slightly as the courtroom screens came alive. The first angle showed Tyler standing at the back courtyard, gripping the fire hose, a cruel grin spread across his face. The camera zoomed slightly as Alicia stepped into the yard alone, unguarded, unaware of what he had planned. Tyler's lawyer, a tall man with slick hair and an expensive navy suit, smirked confidently. "Your Honor, we object to the angle. It doesn't show the entire context." Caprio raised an eyebrow. "It shows enough to begin with." Overruled. The room went silent as water blasted across the screen. Alicia's body jolted backward, water exploding against her chest like a hammer. Students gasped, even watching the footage. But then came the moment everyone had been talking about. Alicia did not fall. She braced herself, feet grounded, eyes locked on Tyler with a gaze so calm it sent a wave of murmurs through the courtroom. Richard Maxwell leaned toward his lawyer. "Cut it before the next part," he whispered. "Mr. Maxwell," Caprio said firmly without even turning his head, "I would strongly advise against attempting to interfere with how evidence is presented in my courtroom." Richard froze, his face tightening, unused to being scolded in public. The footage continued. Alicia stepped aside, gripped the hose, and angled it, and Tyler flew back in a thunderous splash. A few people in the courtroom gasped aloud. Two teenagers in the back whispered, "She didn't even fight, just defended herself." That was controlled. Tyler's face turned red as the courtroom watched him slipping, scrambling, falling again. Even his own lawyer shifted uncomfortably. Then came the part Tyler had been dreading the moment he charged at her. The audio picked up. "You think you can embarrass me?" And Alicia's movements were graceful, precise, almost effortless. She redirected him without striking, without hurting him beyond his own clumsiness. Caprio leaned back slowly after the footage ended. "Well," he said with a breath, "that was certainly something." Tyler's lawyer stood quickly. "Your Honor, the video shows a fight. It shows an assault," Caprio corrected, "by your client." The lawyer swallowed hard. "Your Honor." Tyler was under emotional distress. "The girl Alicia," Caprio said sharply. "She has a name." The lawyer hesitated, then nodded. "Of course." Alicia provoked a ripple of disbelief moved through the courtroom. "Provoked?" Caprio repeated, voice quiet but edged with steel. "By standing still?" The lawyer tried again. "She flipped the hose on him." After being attacked with it, Caprio said, "Continue." At that moment, Tyler couldn't hold back. "She humiliated me." "She acted like she's better than sit down," Caprio ordered, not raising his voice, but carrying absolute authority. Tyler dropped into his seat, stunned. Caprio turned to Alicia. "Miss Grant, would you like to speak?" Beverly squeezed Alicia's hand, once supportive, but letting her choose. Alicia rose slowly. The room hushed. Even Tyler's lawyer leaned forward. She didn't clear her throat. She didn't fidget. She just spoke with a voice that was soft but steady, every word landing with quiet power. "Your Honor, I didn't want any trouble. It was my first day. I don't know anyone at the school. I only defended myself when I had no other choice." Caprio nodded. "Did you at any point strike Tyler Maxwell?" "No, sir. I redirected him the way I was taught. I don't like hurting anyone. My mom taught me self-defense to protect myself, not to fight." Her grandmother's eyes filled, proud and sad at the same time. The courtroom felt her sincerity. Tyler's lawyer stood quickly, sensing the tide turning. "Your Honor, this is being blown out of proportion. The boy is 17. Teenagers make mistakes. We can settle this privately." "No," Caprio said evenly. "We were not sweeping anything under the rug because someone's father is wealthy." Richard Maxwell's jaw tightened. Caprio turned to the prosecutor. "Any additional evidence?" The prosecutor scanned her files. "Yes, Your Honor. Exhibit B. Testimonial from the school security officer." The bailiff opened the back door, and in walked Officer Ramirez, the man who had called the police that day. His uniform crisp, his posture firm. Ramirez approached the stand. "I witnessed the entire incident live on camera. Miss Grant did not provoke, attack, or insult anyone. Mr. Maxwell planned the entire event to humiliate her publicly." Tyler slammed his palm on the table. "This is ridiculous. You're all overreacting." Caprio struck the gavel sharply. "One more outburst, and I will hold you in contempt." Tyler froze. For the first time, fear, not embarrassment, crossed his eyes. Ramirez continued. "Your Honor, there's one more thing." The entire courtroom leaned in. Ramirez pulled out a small drive. "This is audio from the moments before Miss Grant entered the yard. Tyler and his friends didn't know the security cameras had microphones." A sudden silence dropped like a curtain. "Caprio, play it." The footage began. Tyler's voice came through the speakers, full of arrogance and cruelty. "Just wait till she walks out. Everyone's gonna see her get blasted. I'm gonna ruin her first day forever." A chorus of laughter from his group. Then Tyler again. "She's too calm, too perfect. Let's see how she handles a public humiliation." Alicia's grandmother covered her mouth in shock, but that wasn't all. The recording continued. After this, she'll learn who runs this school, and if she cries, good. A collective gasp filled the courtroom. Tyler sank into his seat, face drained of color. Caprio didn't speak for a long moment. When he finally did, his voice was low, stern, and ice cold. This wasn't a mistake, he said slowly. This was cruelty. Calculated cruelty. Tyler looked at his father with wide, terrified eyes. But behind the fear, something darker flickered. Something Alicia noticed, but couldn't yet decipher. Judge Caprio closed the file gently. And now, he said, gaze piercing straight through Tyler, we're going to address something far bigger than a high school fight. The entire courtroom stiffened, because no one knew what Caprio had just discovered. Something hidden in the file. Something the audience hadn't seen yet. Something that would change the entire direction of the case and shake Alicia's world in a way she never expected. The courtroom lights hummed softly as Judge Frank Caprio lifted the final page of the case file. The energy in the room shifted. Everyone felt it. Something was wrong. Something bigger than a high school assault, bigger than Tyler's wealth or arrogance, bigger than everything the courtroom had heard so far. Caprio looked at Tyler for a long, quiet moment. Mr. Maxwell, he began, his tone steady but sharper than before. This case isn't only about what happened in that courtyard. There are incidents recorded here that go far beyond a fire hose. Richard Maxwell straightened, his confidence flickering. Tyler swallowed, suddenly alert. Caprio turned to the prosecutor. Counselor, bring out the incident reports. 3 folders, thick, worn, stuffed with papers, were placed on the desk in front of the judge. Caprio tapped, the first file. This contains formal complaints from at least 14 students over the past 2 years. Bullying, harassment, threats, all directed at your son. A low wave of murmurs rippled through the courtroom. Tyler's lawyer shot to his feet. Objection. These are sealed juvenile records, irrelevant to today's... Sit down, Caprio said calmly. I'm not ruling on the past. I'm ruling on a pattern. He opened the second file. This one, he continued, documents academic misconduct, cheating, grade manipulation, intimidation of teachers. Most cases were closed quietly. Why? Because each time Mr. Richard Maxwell here paid settlements, called in favors, or used his influence to make the complaints disappear. Richard's face hardened, but his eyes revealed the truth. Caprio was right. And the third file, Caprio said, lifting it with deliberate slowness, is the most concerning. A hush fell so heavy it felt like the air stopped moving. This, Caprio said, is a psychological evaluation request filed by the school counselor just 6 weeks ago. It states that Tyler has shown signs of escalating behavior. Impulsivity, anger outbursts, obsession with dominance, and a lack of empathy toward vulnerable students. Alicia felt a cold sweat slide down her spine. Tyler shot up, voice cracking. That's a lie. They're exaggerating. They've always hated me. Sit down, Caprio commanded. Now. For the first time, Tyler obeyed instantly. Caprio closed the file and folded his hands. This boy isn't just a bully. He's dangerous. And if we don't intervene now, his actions will escalate until someone truly gets hurt. Richard Maxwell finally stood. Your Honor, I can assure you, my son is not dangerous. He is misunderstood. He is passionate. And he is a teenager. You can't ruin his future because of a few childish mistakes and overblown accusations. Caprio looked at him with a gaze sharp enough to cut glass. Mr. Maxwell, I'm not ruining anything. I'm preventing something. Then he turned to Alicia. Miss Grant, I need to ask you something. Alicia stood slowly, her heart beat loud in her ears. In your short time at Brookwood High, did Tyler Maxwell ever approach you before the incident? Alicia hesitated. Everyone watched her. Beverly, the officers, the reporters, the students holding their breath. Alicia spoke softly. Yes, Your Honor, several times. Caprio's brows lifted. What happened during those interactions? Alicia took a deep breath. The first time, he called me charity case. The second time, he knocked my books out of my arms. The third time, he blocked my locker and told me I should learn my place. Gasps broke out. Even Tyler's lawyer turned pale. Caprio asked again, gently, Did he ever touch you? Before yesterday? Alicia lowered her gaze for a moment. Her grandmother's hand reached for hers. Yes, she said, voice steady but tight. He grabbed my arm once in the hallway, hard. Tyler's lawyer began to rise, but Tyler gripped his wrist, stopping him. Alicia continued, eyes now fixed on the judge. I pulled away. I didn't push him. I didn't threaten him. I just told him, Please don't touch me. Her voice softened. He looked at me like he couldn't believe someone said no to him. Caprio nodded, understanding more than she said aloud. And the day of the fire hose? Alicia swallowed. I didn't see him before I went outside, but I felt something was wrong. What do you mean? Alicia hesitated. It's his eyes. When he looked at me the day before, there was anger. But the day of the hose, it was something else. Not anger. Something colder. Tyler shifted uncomfortably, jaw tightening. Caprio leaned forward slightly. Miss Grant, did you feel unsafe? Alicia spoke the truth, not angrily, not dramatically, but with the same calm strength she'd shown in the courtyard. Yes, Your Honor, I did. Richard Maxwell jumped to his feet. This is absurd. My son is being painted like some kind of monster. He is a good boy. Caprio raised a hand. Sit down, Mr. Maxwell. You have no right. Caprio's next words silenced the room to its bones. I have every right. And more importantly, your son is not on trial alone. A chill ran through the courtroom. Even Tyler looked confused. Caprio continued. After reviewing the files, the security footage, and the counselor's flagged reports, I ordered a deeper review. He tapped the third folder, and what I found reveals something much more serious. He turned slowly toward Richard. Mr. Maxwell, this file includes testimonies stating that you, personally, pressured the school into suppressing multiple complaints. You protected your son for years, allowing him to believe there would never be consequences. Richard's face went from red to white. Tyler blinked rapidly, his breath shaking. Caprio's voice was steady, unwavering, rooted in years of wisdom. Tyler is responsible for his actions. But you, Mr. Maxwell, are responsible for teaching him that wealth is a weapon. The courtroom was frozen. Richard opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. Tyler stared at his father, betrayal flickering across his face. Caprio looked between them both, then delivered the revelation that hit the room like a thunderclap. This is no longer just a juvenile assault case. This is a negligence case, a parental misconduct case, and potentially, depending on what comes next, a case for the state family court. Gasps erupted. Reporters jolted upright. Tyler's lawyer grabbed his head. Richard's confidence shattered. But Alicia felt something shift. Like the floor beneath her was changing shape, revealing truths she hadn't known existed. Because this case was no longer only about Tyler's cruelty. It was about something broken in the Maxwell household. Something dark, something buried, something that Judge Caprio had just dragged into the light. And once exposed, nothing in that courtroom would ever be the same again. The courtroom felt heavier than ever, as if every breath, every heartbeat belonged to the same stunned silence. Reporters leaned forward. Students clasped their hands over their mouths. Officers stood straighter. Even the ceiling lights seemed to dim slightly, as if the whole room were bracing for what was coming next. Judge Frank Caprio let the silence sit for a full 10 seconds. Long enough for every person in the room to feel the weight of it. Then he spoke. "Mr. Maxwell," Caprio said, looking directly at Richard, "your influence allowed your son's behavior to grow unchecked. You didn't just fail to stop him. You shielded him, enabled him, taught him that power erases consequences." Richard opened his mouth, but Caprio's raised hand silenced him instantly. "However," Caprio continued, "there is something else in these files, something deeply troubling." He lifted a final, sealed document, one not yet revealed to the courtroom. "This," he said quietly, "is a transcript from the school counselor's private interview with one of Tyler's former friends. It explains why Tyler has acted out for years, why his behavior has escalated, and why he became obsessed with humiliating others." The room leaned forward as one. According to the testimony, Tyler watched his father intimidate, threaten, and belittle people to get what he wanted. Employees, contractors, even teachers. And he learned that cruelty, when supported by money, gets rewarded. Richard's face drained of all color. But Judge Caprio wasn't finished. It also states that only 1 week ago, Tyler overheard his father say, "Power belongs to people who take it. If someone disrespects you, crush them." Alicia inhaled sharply. Beverly's hand gripped her shoulder. Tyler's own eyes widened, as if the truth he'd buried inside himself was suddenly exposed under a spotlight. Caprio turned to the boy. "Tyler Maxwell, is this true?" The question hit like a hammer. Tyler stared at the floor. His fists tightened. His breathing quickened. Every person waited, because this moment, more than anything else, would decide his fate. Finally, Tyler lifted his head, eyes glassy, voice cracked. "Yes," he whispered. "He said it. He always says stuff like that." Richard jumped to his feet. "Tyler, stop talking. You don't know what—" "Sit down," Caprio ordered firmly, "or I will have you removed." Richard sank back into his seat, trembling with rage and fear. Tyler's voice broke again, this time louder, rawer. "He always tells me I have to be the strongest, that people like Alicia don't matter, that I should never let anyone embarrass me. He said if someone stands against me, I should make them regret it." His voice faltered. "So I did what he taught me." The room froze in disbelief. The privileged, arrogant bully was unraveling before their eyes. Not because he was innocent, but because he finally understood the roots of his cruelty. Judge Caprio leaned forward, speaking with a kind of compassion that cut deeper than anger. "Tyler, no one is born cruel. We become what we're taught. But learning the wrong lesson does not excuse harming others." A tear rolled down Tyler's cheek. It was the first drop of humanity the courtroom had seen from him. He whispered, "I didn't mean to actually hurt her. I didn't know how to stop." Alicia watched him quietly, not with hatred, but with a kind of profound sadness she hadn't anticipated. Because she saw it clearly now. Tyler wasn't just a bully. He was a broken kid, shaped by a broken parent. Judge Caprio closed the file with a soft thud that seemed to echo through every corner of the room. Here is my ruling. No one dared breathe. Tyler Maxwell, you are guilty of juvenile assault, harassment, and endangerment. You will undergo 6 months of mandatory counseling, anger management, and community service. Specifically at a youth center, where you will learn what it means to help, not harm. You will also write a formal apology to Miss Grant, approved by this court. Tyler nodded, tears streaming silently. But, Caprio continued, turning toward Richard Maxwell, this court also finds substantial evidence of parental negligence, intimidation, and obstruction of multiple prior school investigations. Richard stood, trembling. You can't do this. I'm a respected... Respect, Caprio said evenly, is not bought. It is earned. And you have earned none. Gasps filled the room. This court is forwarding all files to the State Family Court for further investigation. You may face charges, and whether you do or not, the days of burying your son's behavior under your money end today. Richard collapsed into his seat, defeated. Caprio turned to Alicia. Miss Grant, your restraint, your discipline, and your courage are remarkable. You defended yourself without aggression, without malice. You acted with maturity far beyond your years. This court thanks you for showing what true strength looks like. Alicia's eyes welled, but she kept her composure, nodding respectfully. Then Caprio delivered the final verdict, the one that would define the future of everyone involved. This case is officially closed, but its consequences are only beginning. Because today, a cycle ends. A new one begins. He struck the gavel. The courtroom exhaled, but something unexpected happened next. As officers gently guided Tyler toward the exit, he stopped, turned, and looked at Alicia. His voice, fragile, broke in the quiet room. I'm sorry, he whispered. I really am. For the first time, Alicia saw the boy he could have been, if someone had shown him the right path. She gave a small nod. Not forgiveness, but acknowledgement. A beginning. Outside the courthouse, the sun shone bright over Providence. Alicia stepped onto the steps with her grandmother. Reporters rushed toward her, microphones extended, cameras flashing. But she didn't falter. She walked through them quietly, with the same calm steadiness she had shown under the fire hose. Because Alicia Grant knew one thing with absolute certainty. Power wasn't loud. Power wasn't privilege. Power wasn't fear. Real power was standing strong when the world tried to break you, and remaining gentle even when the world wasn't. And that strength, the kind that no fire hose, no bully, no courtroom could wash away, belonged entirely to her. And that's how a quiet girl, who refused to bow to cruelty, changed an entire courtroom and exposed the truth no one dared to speak. Judge Frank Caprio didn't just give a verdict. He broke a cycle of privilege, power, and silence. If this story moved you even a little, hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from in the comments. Your support helps us bring more real, powerful stories just like this. See you in the next video.